So the Western Cape's Easter Road Safety Campaign is in full swing. Provincial traffic teams have been deployed to patrol for violations, interprovincial corridor operations, roadblocks and fatigue management interventions. Last year, the province reported 26 deaths during the long Easter weekend and 164 deaths during the December holiday. Despite all the measures in place, the department says that the challenge lies in changing the behaviour of road users. Let's now speak to the MEC, Ricardo, Mackenzie, who's now joining us live. MEC, good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us. I know it's still a bit early, only around 8:30 now, but what would you say the traffic volumes are looking like this morning, and also the expectation leading into tomorrow afternoon?
Thank you, Aldrin, and thank you for having me this morning. I've been out on the road since early this morning, and there has already been an exodus of traffic leaving Cape Town Central. Seeing here in the Ricardo area. I'm now in Hermanus. I was over the mountain in Ricardo, and we've seen volumes that you don't see on a normal day. So people are already heeding our call and leaving town early so that we all don't have to rush to get to our destination.
Yeah, and the importance of the campaign that you launched on the 23rd of March is to ensure that you bring down the number of fatalities, but importantly also just the number of crashes, which also leads to some people ending up with disabilities.
Thank you. That's the vast importance of the campaign, but it's actually a longer importance. The longer importance is about changing road user behavior. We have obviously been doing all these campaigns over Easter and over December period, but change road user behavior is a long-term strategy. So one of the things that we offered was free vehicle testing over the last 6-7 days for anyone who could come in any vehicle to any of our testing stations in Cape Town and Drakensberg to come and test your vehicle. But we're doing this to instill a behavior change. That before you decide to go on a long distance trip or even a short distance, please check your vehicle. It's a simple 10-point check that we will do for you for free. And that is what we've done the last 7 days. And we appreciate the amount of people that has come to our testing centers. And that is what we're trying to do over the next year or two to instill behavior change, because every big operation we do over Easter and December, it does help. It does help in reducing the fatalities, but it's a long-term strategy. We cannot just do these big operations and people go back to their old behavior after Easter.
Yeah. With the last stats, the last festive season stats that were released earlier this year by the Minister of Transport, she indicated that the Western Cape recorded the highest increase at 22.6% when it comes to accidents as well as road fatalities. However, though, I remember speaking to MEC ahead of the festive season, and you had said that plans had been put in place to ensure that the roads are safe. What went wrong? And this time around, have you been able to analyze what it is that you need to do differently outside of pushing for driver change behavior?
Yes, we did. We analyzed that before, where our plans on provincial roads, if I be honest, Aldrin, worked. Our numbers on our provincial roads were down by 11% in December, but sadly on our local and our municipalities, that is the numbers that increased our overall number. And part of the problem there is, one is our municipalities across the country, their law enforcement only work from 8 to 5, where our provincial traffic officers work 24 hours, 7 days a week. So there's a disjuncture between what happens on municipal roads between the day and on provincial roads 24 hours, 7 days a week. And our focus now has been working with municipalities on how do we integrate that? How do we work together in that time shift where some crashes happen? One of the other big things that we picked up on our data analytics was the pedestrians. Pedestrian fatalities increased on our province tremendously. And that is where people drink and drive, jaywalking, not crashing where they should be. And one of the things that we have in the Western Cape, we don't have infrastructure problem when it comes to roads. We have incredible roads in the Western Cape, but people still don't use the right places to crash. And that is where you see the crashes and the fatalities has happened. And we're trying to change that behavior, to tell people you don't have to cross normally. There is a bridge where you can cross over. And that is what we're trying to change now differently. In our local municipalities, we learned from the lessons in December, and our focus now is on pedestrian interventions to try and bring down these numbers.
How do you do that? How do you intervene when it comes to pedestrians, considering that there will be plenty of them on the road?
What we are doing now is we have education and awareness campaign. We have billboards at places where these incidents were quite high, and that's how we're targeting pedestrians. We have obviously advertising a massive advertising campaign that we launched 3 weeks ago, where we're focusing specifically on pedestrians. We're continuing with our operations. We're continuing with what worked in December in bringing our fatalities on our provincial roads down. But now we're targeting pedestrians in municipal roads because that's the majority of the fatalities were.
Yeah. What we noticed during the height of COVID-19, because of how infectious the virus was that the breathalyzer was done away with. Has the province went ahead with the re-implementation of the breathalyzer? How do you detect whether a driver is over the legal limit?
We have reintroduced the breathalyzers, and the province do obviously check, and if you are over the limit, they'll do the appropriate test. They take you to the nearest clinic for further testing to ensure, obviously, that it stands up in court. But we have reintroduced it, and it is working where people who are unfortunately over the limit and has now obviously been in custody and they have been charged. But it requires a behavior change. We cannot continue to do more enforcement. We are doing it. We've got great law enforcement agents, traffic officers in the country, but it needs behavior change from all of us. We know who our friends are that drink at parties. We know who our relatives are that get in their cars, drinking and driving. We need to ask as a society, sit with our friends and say, guys, do not drink and drive. And that is, I think, the most important message for all of us in this country. It's a societal change that needs to happen. We cannot have a traffic officer in everyone's car.
Very important to this is the work that is being done by law enforcement and actually enforcing the law. The Western Cape had introduced body cams as well. I don't know if there's any data that you've drawn from the body cams that you're able to speak to us about.
That's specifically in the city of Cape Town, and they're running that project at the moment, so I honestly do not have that data. But we do have a meeting on 2 weeks' time where I'll certainly will ask them if they can provide us with the data so that we as Provincial Traffic can also start looking at that. I know it's in a pilot phase at the moment, but I haven't seen that technical data to this point.
Okay. And this one, again, the next story is also in relation to the city of Cape Town. A taxi driver who has outstanding fines of like 241,000 rand, only 24 years old. How is this possible? How does somebody run up fines of up to 240,000 rand? When should law enforcement be stepping in? As the discussion that we're having with the team a bit earlier on as well, what happens after the first warrant of arrest?
Well, I think that is a challenge that we do face, not only in the city, in the province as well. I mean, I was part of roadblocks where people's fines were printed, and you see always long lists of fines that were printed. People don't give right addresses. And when the traffic officers or when officers go out for their warrant of arrest, then you find the person that gave you the address on the road actually don't stay there. So, because when you give an address at a roadblock or every yard, you give the traffic officer that roadblock and that is the address, and that is where the fine goes to. And unfortunately, in our country, we don't have a centralized database, or if Aldrin gives ID number at a roadblock, you can pick up where he actually stays. It is what you gave the officer on the scene is where it goes to. It's a serious challenge in our country.
Yeah. So how do we fix this? Also considering that we have the e-NATIS system and also the introduction of the demerit system.
What we need is to fix this problem, and if we can get this right in the country, we'll fix quite a lot of other problems as well. It's a centralized database interlinked with your ID number, with your driver's license, not these 2-3 different cards that we have at the moment. So that when you get even a traffic fine, everybody knows where Ricardo, Mackenzie is, in terms of law enforcement, obviously, with appropriate guidelines, so that when you get your first warrants of arrest, we can go to you or either to your employer, either way, and to make sure that you get either fined or it must be deducted from your appropriate bank account. At the moment, it's just warrant after warrant. You give the wrong address, and zero to little accountability. In the Western Cape, we do have an integrated transport hub, what we call an integrated transport hub, on our provincial roads, and some of our municipalities have also now introduced what they call, some of them call them the money buses. So when you get to a roadblock and you do get a fine, they can actually ask you to pay it right there.
Yeah.
But it's a heavy cost of investment.
Sorry, MEC. Are you saying that you are able to get into the bank account of a driver and deduct whatever fines from that bank account? Is it almost like a garnishing order?
No. They're asking you to pay. They're not taking it off. They're saying, Ricardo, you've got a fine outstanding. We've picked up that you asked. Please pay us. Here's our the bank details, obviously using the electronic card system.
Okay.
But they don't go into your bank account. So you might have misheard me. They don't go into your bank account. They give you an opportunity to pay right there.
Okay. As we conclude the conversation, MEC, your message to road users who will be on the roads from today leading into the weekend.
Aldrin, can I please ask our road users, this happens every single year. We've been done for the last 20, 30 years. Apologies for that. It's been done for the last 20, 30 years. Can you please abide by the rules of the road? Don't drink, don't speed, put on your seatbelt. It is simple actions. But not most of us, a lot of people don't abide by these simple actions, and it causes severe fatalities on our roads, and families are left behind to mourn their loved ones. Can we all abide by simple actions?
Thank you so much for your time. That is the MEC for Mobility in the Western Cape, Ricardo Mackenzie.